Welcome to the Knaak Show, brand new Studio A5. The space is gorgeous. I love it. I can't wait for everybody to come on March 5th and see it in person. My name is Knaak. I help coaches, entrepreneurs, and small business owners achieve social media consistency to increase business visibility through training, personal connection, and events. Today, we are unveiling the new and improved Knaak Show. We want to help your business grow in 10 minutes by bringing in amazing speakers and guests who will share life-changing experiences to help you do business better.
I'm Dotty, and I am a leadership consultant and a coach. So on one part of my business, I help CEOs and senior leadership level up their leadership. So when they've gone from that startup into that mid-size business, I help them to shift how they're doing leadership so that they can grow in a way that is more productive, and what got them there isn't going to get them to the next level. So I help them level up. And then on the coaching side of my business, you know how you've got those successful professionals who have been going at it 50, 60, 70 hours a week. And now there's health challenges and relationship challenges and all sorts of challenges.
Check. Yep.
That's where I come in. I am a coach. I help you work less without sacrificing success. So you can get more done by working less.
GSD. So my name is John Taylor, and welcome to the new Studio A5. We're so happy to have you at our new facility and cannot wait to show you around. The Studio A5 space is a collaborative facility geared towards training seminars and networking events. And next week, I'd love to have you join us for our open house with our special guests, Sean Stockman and David Cooks, who's coming out of semi-retirement to be a speaker. Our very special event next week. Just excited. Oh, hang out.
She's coming for me.
Yeah, it's you too.
For me. It's us. About women.
Today, our guests are Katherine Breuss and Michelle Cox, and they're going to talk about leadership.
And sales.
And sales.
Yep.
And sales. Sales is tough. We all work collaboratively with teams, but our company is pretty much just as an individual. I look at leadership of a solopreneur business as you still have to, you're leading those around you. You know, I run a lot of networking events, so I kind of take a leadership role in that. And you want people that want to work with you is me a big key to leadership. People that want to work with you, for you, and work together as a team. So it's not all about, I'm telling you what to do right now and you listen. So that's kind of where I am. Collaboration, not competition.
There you go.
Dotty, what does it mean for you to be a leader of one?
So when I think of leadership, and I think of being a leader of one right now, I mean, eventually I hope to be a leader of many. And I am. I mean, I lead my family and all other sorts of other things. And I think leadership always starts with personal leadership. How am I leading in my own life? How am I leading in my own business? What am I doing to create the vision for my life, for my business, for my family? And how am I bringing in support where I need it, asking for help? How am I creating the plans? How am I figuring out who I need to support me in the execution of those plans? So I think it's a lot of starting here, because I think that's just so critical for any leader, the personal leadership. How are you leading in your own life? Which kind of goes into my coaching, because oftentimes we have leaders who are working so hard and they're not really taking care of their own personal life. They've let that fall away in service of so many other people.
And they probably lose some people looking up to them because of that.
Yep. So when I think of a leader of one, today we have leadership and sales. And I think the foundation of both of those for me is communication. How am I communicating to the people who I'm collaborating with and working with? And in sales, it's the same thing. How am I conveying my message and communicating to my ideal client what my offer is? And do they understand it? If they understand it, they're going to buy quickly. They're going to be ambitious to learn more about it. They're going to be excited. And it's the same thing with my team. If my team, the people I'm collaborating with, if I communicate well, they're going to be excited. They're going to be inspired. And they're going to want to do more, learn more, be more a part of it. So for me, it's communication, and I'm really working on that this year, and that's something that I really want to focus on.
Amazing.
So, last week we've had some kind of amazing guests since we redefined the Knaak show and where we're going with 10 minutes. We had Sean, who talked about YouTube. I mean, he comes in and he gives you a boom, 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 boom. Your YouTube channel can pretty much soar. Eric talked about social media. Paul, the photographer, gives us all these LinkedIn tips. Yeah. Amazing. And then we had Carrie with the 3 C's. So I absolutely just love where this show has been going and can't wait to continue to watch all of the guests that are upcoming.
So we've had some amazing guests over the past few weeks since the reset of the show. And Sean Tepper talked about YouTube. Even though he has a financial product and he's in the financial world, he really shared some very succinct steps, very simple approaches, steps, and concepts about how to get YouTube up and running. So if you did not see that, if you want to grow your audience, Sean explains that on YouTube. Yeah. What was one of your favorite things over the past few guests?
You know, I'd love to do a different one, but Sean Tepper's thing on YouTube was the most inspiring thing for me. And I attached vidIQ to my YouTube channel, and I've been working just a little bit each day, trying to be consistent. How can I update my tags, update my thumbnails, follow some of his teachings? And if you look at all of our new posts on YouTube for the new shows, they all follow his pattern.
Tags, titles, descriptions. Those were 3 key things: tags, titles, and descriptions. And he gave some great advice, just some really simple approaches for that. So check that out.
Mm-hmm. Check it.
So I'm looking forward to the new home of the Knaak show. And speaking of connecting, John has a new segment on content creation. Let's pass it over to John.
Welcome, everybody, to Content Creation Alchemy, where I'm going to talk about how you can create content better. So let me go with a little bit of a backstory. When I was a kid, I loved to take things apart. I would get new guitars and I would take them apart, and cars and take them apart. And I loved to see what happened if you took things apart. You find that switch to see if you flipped it, how the light would go on. So as I got older, I looked at my life and I wanted to make changes in my life. And I started going to seminars and reading books and going to webinars and watching YouTube and all of those things. And one thing I found myself doing is I was taking those seminars apart. I was taking the content that they were creating apart, and I wanted to see what happened if you flip the switch, what would turn the light on. So I want to give you 3 things that I have found in taking apart other people's content to help you create content better. So my program to take this all apart is called Content Alchemy, and it's crafting transformative experiences in your content. And I'm going to give you a 3-step quick and easy process so that you can create better content quicker. All right, let's get started. So the first is when you go into B state. That's a beautiful state. It's a state of flow. It's when you're happy, when you're joyous, and when you are full of that creative energy. You're aligned with the beautiful creative force of the universe. So some people find that through meditation, some through working out, some through doing art. It's finding your own way of getting into that beautiful state. And here's why. Your energy is translated into whatever art that you create. So if the art that you're creating is a blog or a post, the energy that you have at that moment is going to come out in your words and in the images that you choose. If you're creating video and you have negative energy, you can see that. I edit video all day long, and I can tell when people are nervous, and I can tell when they're having a bad day. And I can also tell when they're truly happy, joyous, and free. The second step in my Content Alchemy program is to talk about others. So share about others to find your voice. And it's a great way to learn how to find things to talk about and to be creative. And when you're avoiding talking about yourself, you're going against the grain. Here's why. Let's take a look at realtors. All realtor content looks the same. They're talking about the house, they're talking about the finance rate, how they're going to be 24/7, and they're going to get you the deal. They're going to get the house closed. If you were to just go against the grain and talk about something other than yourself or other than the property, you'd be different from all other realtors. And so you'd stand out from the white noise that is realtor social media content. One thing you could talk about that's very effective for realtors is interviewing people in a neighborhood. So go into a neighborhood and interview all the businesses and create content out of it. You could just go down the road and go into every business and say, "Hi, I'm a realtor and I want to tell people about your business." Own that city, own that town, talk about their greatness, and learn to ask better questions so that you can get more interesting answers that are valuable to your audience. Finally, do it now and be consistent. Go out right now and create content about somebody else. Make a commitment to taking 15 minutes or 1 hour every day to creating content consistently and talking about other people. What you're doing is you're creating compound interest for your social media and marketing efforts. All of this adds up over time if you're consistent, steady, and stay the course. When you start out, things might be a little bit rough and you might not have your voice, but on the other side of suck is success. So keep doing what you're doing and get out there and connect with people and find your voice and learn what it takes to flip the switch to turn the light on in your customers.
Our first guest is Michelle Cox. Michelle Cox, CEO of an executive coaching firm, employs an ontological approach to accelerate leadership and personal development. With over a decade of coaching experience and a professional coaching certification from the International Coaching Federation, Cox offers her expertise to corporate executives and entrepreneurs.
Her background includes over 20 years of leading and developing teams, where she introduced innovative ideas and led strategic initiatives. Now, Michelle uses her vast experience to help clients enhance their leadership abilities, providing them with mindset, tools, resources to develop themselves and their teams to boost executive impact, engagement, and business outcomes. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
I read that you meditate while you run.
I do. It's the one space I don't have my phone. So I don't have my phone. I listen to music, and I don't even really listen to the music. I just zone out and really fully invite myself into the experience. And it's my opportunity to be the most creative. We just had a runner on here a few weeks ago, and it's really got me like, I need to get to running.
Okay, I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here. Is on my 60th birthday, November 16th. So now everybody knows my birthday. Every woman's marathon. So if you're up for it, come to Savannah, Georgia with me and run a marathon. I haven't run one yet.
Savannah, Georgia, November sounds like...
would be lovely.
Yeah.
And it's every woman's marathon. Every pace, every woman.
I love that. I love it.
I'm going to do the shuffle. You can do that. You can do that. What is one mindset shift that you feel that leaders really need to adopt in order to be better leaders?
The first thing is that I really see a lot of times leaders look externally, and they're looking at their team, they're looking at everything but themselves. And so I really feel like the biggest start is starting to look at yourself, look internally versus looking externally at everything else that's going on around you. In the past, I've heard you can't give what you don't have. And it's really, really true in leadership. So tell us about the strategy you have behind your leadership training.
Yeah, I really look at it when you first start leading yourself, you start filling your cup. You start knowing like, okay, I can give to other people because my cup is full. You start knowing, who do I need to surround myself? What are my strengths? What are my opportunities? And you create awareness about what's getting you in the way from where you are today to where you're going.
I really love that approach. I use that in my coaching and in my leadership development. I understand, though, that you have a step-by-step approach on how you work with leaders to become better leaders.
I do.
Share that with us.
I do. It all starts with creating a vision. And I think that one of the biggest breakdowns that I see is people create a vision on what they do, not necessarily what they want to experience. And they also break out what's personal and professional versus integrating the two of them. So you're starting from the time, what experience do you want to create from the time you wake up in the morning to the time that you go to bed at night? And you have that integration. The second piece is identifying your values. Our values are inherently important to us, and we don't always realize that, guess what? We create expectations of ourselves and the expectations of other people with our values. And sometimes they're said and sometimes they're unsaid. So we can either set unrealistic expectations for ourselves or unrealistic expectations for other people.
So do you help them kind of identify their values? Because I help with a lot of social media and webs and all the good things behind the scenes of businesses. And you're like, I don't know, Google values for me. And I'm like, but isn't that kind of the foundation of your business? How are you Googling values? You're not going to follow those.
Yes. So I have a whole process that I have for my clients. So they go off, I give them a worksheet, they go off, they create it, then we distinguish. So it's not just, hey, these are my values, but what do those values mean to you? Why are they important? What do they look like in action? So it's a whole process that we'll go through.
Okay, so you're going to identify your vision. You're going to identify your values, not Googled. What's next?
Your values.
Yes. Next, you're going to want to identify your passions. Mm-hmm. What's the thing that gets you up in the morning, that gets you excited? If you're a visionary, that's fantastic. And once you identify that's where your strength is, that's what gets you super excited. You want to be able to lean into that passion and not distract yourself with 10 other things that you have going on around you.
Always something.
And after passion?
After passions, it's your strengths and opportunities. This one I feel is critical. And one of the things that we don't necessarily spend the most time on is, what are my superpowers? What am I really good at? So I don't necessarily need to surround myself with those people, because guess what? I'm already good at that. What's really important then is, what are my opportunities? Because that helps you identify, who do I need to support me? Who do I need to outsource? Who do I need to leverage within my team? So I'm not trying to spend all my time and energy on those opportunities.
Key value in leadership. That's really, really difficult for people to say, I'm not so great at this. I need to find someone to do this.
Because people don't want to admit weakness. They're afraid that if they say, I'm not good at this, or I can't do that, or I don't want to do that because it's not in my area of genius or my area of passion, they're going to be seen as weak. And so I think too many people do try to do it all.
I did it. I tried. I'll say 100%. When I first moved in entrepreneurial world, working for myself, I spent a ton of time on creative. It is not my jam. I'm really good at coaching. I can give you content, but creative, I need someone else to do that for me.
So how can we bring it all together, all of those steps, and bring it all together to be able to really level up our leadership?
I think one of the important pieces is we have to peek under the covers and really look at our well-being and ensure that we're filling our cup. And this is where it goes to filling our cup, is what do we need that's going to lift us up and ensure that our cup is full. And so we're able to give out what we're giving in. And that's a big missing that I find in so many leaders.
An empty cup.
And And then finally, create the plan. So what actions will you create, and by when will you create them? Based upon everything that you've discovered, who you are as a leader, everything, what your passions are, strengths and opportunities, then you create your plan, and then you can work the plan.
Wrap it up in a little bow.
Yeah. Too many people start with the plan. And then it falls apart because they don't have all of those things you mentioned in the beginning.
Exactly.
So I need an action plan. What's something that I can do to make it a habit? What can I do to bring this all together?
I think the first thing is being aware and intentional. So awareness, once you're aware, it creates the opportunity to choose. And then from choice, you can be intentional with where you're spending your time, where your effort is going, all of that. The other piece is being intentional. You have to model the way for everybody around you. And that's one of the big pieces that we miss. So if you're telling people, go do this, you need to model the way and say, I have this plan, I'm working my plan, and show them what it looks like in practice and in action. Yes.
That's the entire process. I think that's super key.
Yeah, because if you're doing things that they're seeing as like, I don't want to do that, which I saw early on in my career with people working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, then you lose the respect. You lose they're not going to follow in other areas.
Absolutely. If you literally take a plan and you say, these are my top actions that I'm going to take that align with my goals every single day, and you start communicating that out with your team so they know what you're doing, they're going to start modeling the exact same thing.
Amazing. I want to thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Do you have any upcoming events, or how can we support you in your mission on leadership?
Find me on LinkedIn that I post on a regular basis, and so you can get nuggets. I really utilize that platform to share value so you can learn and you're not just trying to figure it out all by yourself.
Sounds great. We'll see you on LinkedIn.
Thank you
for
so
joining
much
us today.
Thanks for joining us.
Of Heike's LinkedIn highlights. Last week, we talked about some of the changes that are going to happen to your profile once the creator mode option is going to be eliminated over the next 30 to 90 days when LinkedIn rolls out this change. One of the changes that is going to affect everyone on LinkedIn once this happens is that your activities section is going to move higher up on your profile. Why is that important? Because that gives people a first-hand glimpse right away as to whether you are active on LinkedIn. Why is this important? For two reasons. Number one, they may not want to interact with you by sending you an invitation or further reading anything on your profile because your profile looks like you've abandoned it if nothing has happened in your activity section for weeks or months at a time. And number two, the LinkedIn algorithm wants you to be active. So if somebody searches for someone with your background, with your skill set, and LinkedIn has hundreds, if not thousands of people that it can show that searching person, you're going to get lower on the list, let's say, if you are not active. So you have to be active. What does active mean? For your activity segment, that would include commenting on other people's posts, liking other people's posts, and creating your own posts or articles. So make sure that you are active on LinkedIn in one of those categories at least once a week, preferably more than once a week, and mix up what kind of activity you have. You don't want to like 15 different things in a row without also creating or sharing someone else's content or creating your own. You want to mix that up and also mix the type of media. It could be something text only versus something with text and image or a video. Mix it up, remain active. It will bring your profile higher up in searches in the results section, and it will be more likely that people will reach out to you with their own invitations or read more about you in the rest of your profile. That was another segment of LinkedIn Highlights with Heike. Make sure to join us next week for the live studio experience with a live audience. at the Connect Show. And if you need more help with LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn and follow my posts. Have a great day.
We have Katherine Breuss here, and Katherine works with entrepreneurs and small businesses who want to increase sales, gain business clarity, and prioritize purposeful action so they can make more money, reduce overwhelm, get time back, and enjoy the journey.
Katherine has been coaching for over 20 years and runs her U.S. business, Accelerate Growth 45. Katherine has owned $1 million business whilst having 4 kids, and she has also failed at business, losing over $200,000. She knows what it takes to do both. Her business success ultimately changed when she hired a coach. She has lived the world, 4 countries, 3 businesses, and 4 kids, and is originally from Wisconsin. Why does sales get such a bad rap?
Yeah, I get it, because I used to say all the time, I'd say, I love what I do. I love working with people, but I hate selling. And I hear that from everyone. And, I say to people that, yes, you should be apologetic for selling if it's under 3 circumstances. 1, you are scamming people, then yes, you should be shameful and you should be apologetic. The second is if your product or your service is rubbish, then yes, you should be apologetic and shameful. And then third is if you're selling someone something they don't need, such as like if you convince a man to buy a feminine product, but he doesn't need it, then yes, you should be shameful and apologetic. But otherwise, if you have value, you should be proud and not think of sales as a dirty word. It's, you're there to serve.
That approach, it makes it a little easier to not feel like such a jerk.
Yeah.
When you're out trying to run your business, you really have something great to give.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of networking, and sales is definitely something I need to be better at. I'm learning the process. I'm learning what I think is valuable, and I don't realize people need what I have to offer. So I don't know how to do it. Do you have a strategy that I can follow?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first thing, and to follow on with what everybody has been saying, it's mindset. It starts with you. And so it's really checking in and, seeing, do you have a blockage towards selling? Is there that, oh, I hate doing it? Is this fear? Are you procrastinating? Or are you expecting other people to do it for you? Because I hear a lot of people do that. So it's really checking in and getting that mindset that you are adding value. You're not that, that salesperson that you need to be shameful of because you're running a scam. You're not. You're adding value. So that's the first thing, would be mindset. The second thing would be clarity, and it's really understanding what your value is and understanding your customer, your client inside and out. Because when you have clarity, again, that helps the mindset, and it just opens everything out, which then really, it solidifies the value that you are giving to people, because that's what it is. You're not pushing something they don't need on them. And it's really kind of knowing what that value is for that your client, your customer. And when you approach it that way, it is selling, but you're thinking it's more of, hey, I'm adding value, and I'm serving other people. So you should be proud and own it.
Something you need.
Yeah.
Listen to what I have to say, and if you don't need it, move on.
Yeah. So do you have some suggestions in terms of the how behind the strategy? I get the strategy, the mindset, the knowing your customer inside and out, and third one is going like out the door and around the corner. Thank you. Knowing your value proposition. Thank you. Do you have a process? Do you have a multi-step process or a few steps that we can follow to make this easier for those of us that are in the...
Absolutely. So really, it comes down to it's 5 things that I look at, and it starts with you. And so, again, it kind of is reiterating everything that we've all said so far, but it's understanding the map of you. And the more that you actually know who you are, what is important to you, how you show up, that is the first step, because that is where your personal power is. That's where your grit is. And that also makes it okay when people say no, because a lot of people stop. They're like, oh, I'm sick of hearing no. And so really harnessing you is the first step. The second is looking at, if there is a blockage, is your mind hindering you or helping you? And so having a one statement that really reiterates the value that you are offering people, and saying it to yourself whenever you can, driving the car or before a meeting, and just that value statement, because there's usually a lot of limiting beliefs around worth. And so this can really help rewire that. The third is really getting clarity around your customer and knowing them inside and out. And the more you know that, then you know what you're offering them, which goes into the fourth, which is that value proposition, and really understanding the benefits that they get from your product or your service. And then lastly, really what you're doing is you aren't hunting, you're fishing. So that's really the whole concept of mindset shift, of selling to fish, not to hunt.
If you're out and about and you have a product or service, and you may have other competition, and I don't like the word competition, I'm a very collaborative person, but you can almost find that the people will just naturally flow to you if you're more confident in what you're talking about. And maybe if they're not, they might not be your ideal client, right? Like you might be selling to someone that could be like the hardest person to work with because you worked so hard to sell it to them, and your personalities may not mesh, where the next person that does the same thing I do might have a better personality match for them, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So you're opening yourself up to more by kind of letting some of the other stuff go, right?
Yeah, I like that, knowing who you are. And so getting really comfortable with, I just listened on a podcast, is coming home to yourself, coming home to yourself and really connecting with, what is that value? I've got a cookie. Do you want a cookie? That whole concept of maybe they're gluten intolerant and they don't want the cookie, or maybe they're not doing carbs or whatever,
But they might know someone that might want the cookie.
But they might know
someone. And that's something, and what you were describing there is more of an abundant mindset than scarcity. Mm-hmm. And so that's, when you approach it with, fear and blockages, and that that you're doing something wrong, that's this, or like, hey, mine, that's a scarcity mindset. Whereas if you have it open of going, this is who I am, this is who I'm serving, this is the benefit, and to your point, they start to come to you, and it becomes that fishing. You know where your ideal client or customer is, and you know what you're providing for them, and they will, grab that hook if it's right. And
I have a mentor who I've worked with who says, selling is coaching and coaching is selling.
I like that.
That it's that concept of we are coaching them through to a decision.
Mm-hmm.
and helping them, because oftentimes our natural reaction as a buyer is to say no.
Yeah.
Because our brain wants us to stay comfortable. And so it's opening up their mind to who they are. So knowing what are their struggles, like you said, knowing your customer, what are they struggling with, what do they want, and opening themselves up to. And oftentimes, I was with a friend this weekend, and she's like, I'm just horrible at making decisions. And I said, but what if you weren't? Yeah. And so in helping, part of that coaching, part of that process is knowing that customer enough to help them transform into making a decision that's best for themselves.
Absolutely.
I love what you said about getting kind of the scarcity mindset, because I would say 3 to 4 months ago, I was definitely in a scarcity mindset until I hired a coach just like you. You know, like it definitely brings to your mind, like if you're able to lead somebody in that direction of how they can actually get into the abundant mindset, that is key to me. Yeah. That is absolute key to me, to be able to bring yourself home and decide, no, I'm worth this. And I have this to offer. Let me share it with you instead of, I have this to offer. Here's my packages.
Feeling bad and apologizing for something. And that goes back to the first step that I was saying. The more you understand the map of you can harness your personal power. You can see your worth. And there's nothing to apologize for, because what you're offering is of value or service. So
everybody use help with sales. So how can we support you? Do you have any upcoming events? How can people connect with you so they can get out of the scarcity mindset?
Yeah. So I am at the moment, I can give for anyone who feels that there is a connection to what I'm saying. I can offer a 1-hour free strategy session. So they just go to Accelerate Growth 45, and which, by the way, the 45, I'm surprised that most people ask me what
it was there.
It was there. I was thinking about it, like, what's with the 45? Did she start it at 45? Did she make, wanting to make 45 million? What's the 45?
45 is 45 seconds to change a mindset, 45 minutes to increase your worth, and 45 days to accelerate growth.
Oh.
I like it.
Well, that's awesome.
So we'll be visiting you on your website and getting out of scarcity mindset and into abundance. I like it.
Okay. That's John for you.
And I look over. We are ready for our Partners in Excellence Pie segment. Sweet Connie's has a beautiful, delicious. Nobody's been eating the crumble off of that pie. Next week, live Knaak show, Studio A5, brand new space. We will have a live studio audience available. Be there. We start at, what time do we start? 10 o'clock in the morning. And we are going to have guests Sean Stockman and David Cooks, who has not done a speaking gig in quite some time. So he's coming out of retirement just to hang out with John Taylor behind. We'll see.
And Knaak. And Heike. Heike Heemann.
And remember, there's networking too. So it's not just like sitting in the audience and watching the show happen, but there's actual networking going on afterwards. So make sure you end up here before and hang out for a little bit afterwards. And then there's another event after that, isn't there?
Mind Body Abundance.
It's at 1 o'clock.
It is a day of fun at the brand new Studio A5. We are dishing out some pie. Looks like apple and all kinds of fabulous in there. We will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I look forward to this. Please bring a guest. Bring someone with you and network.
And sign up online. Make sure we know how many are coming.
Yeah, we'd love to make sure we have enough seats.